Welcome to Kitchen Counseling. I'm Chef Tom. I'm your motorcycle riding holistic chef. Now, if you've been with me for a little while, you know I've done a bunch of cooking at my mom's house and a lot of her recipes and whatever. She's getting up in age. She's not cooking much anymore. She still likes to be in the kitchen, likes to watch what's going on, tasting it, whatnot, but she doesn't have the dexterity to actually do the work, so I'm usually over there doing that for her. So in tribute to that, I am actually going to do one of her recipes that she did when I was a kid. This is what I grew up with, and I know it's going to go against the rules of a lot of barbecue folks, but I really don't care. So this is what my mom's BBQ Brisket recipe. It's an oven-baked recipe. We're also doing a little cheat on the smoke and everything. We're using some liquid smoke and all that stuff, so it's not traditional. But like I said, I don't care. It tastes good. And again, this is a tribute to my mom. So what we're going to do today, what we're going to do right now, is we're going to do kind of that pre-work. We got to put the liquid smoke on it. We put some celery salt on it and some pepper and whatnot. And then we're going to put it in the fridge for 24 hours and let that all sit in there and just kind of get in there. Then after that, we're going to come up and drain all that stuff off. Then we're going to actually do the cooking process, and that will be done tomorrow. So we'll be back when we do that. So let's just do that first step of just kind of getting it ready. So this recipe is set up to be for an 8-pound brisket. And normally when you go to the grocery store, you can find one in the 7 to 8 pound range. My grocery store just failed me this time. I mean, they had them all cut up in really small sizes and stuff, and I was just like, oh, this is ridiculous. So I got 2 smaller pieces of brisket. So I got about 4 pounds. So I'm only doing about half of this recipe. But I'm going to go through the recipe as if you had an 8-pounder and what you would use on all the ingredients and all that when we do that tomorrow. This step right now is just like I said, we're just going to put the liquid smoke on. Now, I don't use gloves a lot, but I will tell you, for this one, unless you want to smell like a campfire, because that liquid smoke's going to get on your hands, and you're going to smell it for days, protect yourself a little bit. So we're going to actually put some gloves on because we're going to rub that liquid smoke into the meat. So let me grab my pan and everything, and we're going to swing down so you can see what's going on. All right. So here we go. Let's come on down, come on down, come on down. So we got just a little 9x13 pan here, and I've got some foil. We're going to lay the meat in there. So the meat's going to go in like a blanket again, okay? So here's our brisket. Got a couple little pieces of nice looking brisket here. I was just kind of bummed that they were kind of small. I'm used to doing a lot more. But this will work for our purposes. Okay. And then we got some liquid smoke. You got all kinds of different brands of liquid smoke out there. You're using just about, what am I going to use? It's about 3 to 4 tablespoons of liquid smoke. So we're going to go ahead and pour this on here. And this was only a couple tablespoons. So I got some more out here. Of course, this one's not even open yet because you don't use liquid smoke a lot, but when you do, you really need it. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit more on here so we got enough to cover everything really good. Let it sink on in. And again, 3 to 4 tablespoons for the 8-pounders. Now I only have 4, so I don't need as much, but you're just basically let this marinate for 24 hours, and then you're going to drain off the excess anyway. There we go. So there's our liquid smoke. And then we're going to put on a little bit of celery salt. And again, this is just to taste. So what I normally do when I'm working with meats and stuff, I'm covering the meat. Just cover the top of it. Now since I got a nice big thick piece, we'll put a little bit on the sides, we'll put a little bit on the bottom. And there we go, get it all in there. Same with this one. Ooh, this one's a little wiry. There we go. So again, just covering the meat, not a real defined amount. And the black pepper, we're gonna do the same thing. Just a little celery salt, a little bit of black pepper. This is actually gonna sit in and be really nice when we're ready to start cooking it up. There we go. And then we're just gonna fold her up, put her in our little blanket. Just like so. Let's get this off of here. And that is all there is to it. So now we're gonna set this, whoa, come back here. Where are you going? We're gonna set this in the fridge for 24 hours, like I said. So this is just gonna go in the fridge, gonna sit for 24 hours. It's just letting that smoke to kind of get in through the meat processes, start blending stuff in there. And then tomorrow we're gonna take it out and then we're gonna cook it up. So we'll be back with all that. That's all we're doing for today right now. We will see you in 24 hours to start doing the cooking. All right, bye-bye. Welcome back to Kitchen Counseling. All right, we have set our brisket in now. It's been sitting in the liquid smoke, celery salt, and the pepper and stuff for the 24 hours. We took it out of the fridge, and now we're gonna actually prepare the sauce, and we're going to put it in the oven. The one thing I really like about this recipe is that it's super easy and anybody can do this and make an awesome, awesome brisket. I love really good brisket. When I go out to barbecue places, that's what I go. That's how I check to see how they know how to do barbecue, is brisket. Now, this is a cheat, like I said, on brisket, but what's nice about it is that anybody can do a good brisket. You don't want to spend the money on the meat and do all that and everything and then just have it really dry and nasty and whatever. So this is a very good initial step for folks that are not barbecuers per se or aficionados in that area. This is a really simple recipe. It's easy to do, and that's what we're gonna do right now. So I'm gonna spin you down here so you can see the process. We've taken our meat out of the fridge and I have just poured off the excess liquid smoke. You don't want to be sitting and draining in that. It's already now all in the meat and everything. You're going to see what's left in there. Then we're going to make the sauce and we're going to put that all over the brisket. Then we're going to wrap it back up in the foil and we're going to stick it in the oven. Now the oven's already been preheated now, 300 degrees, and we're going to put this in there for about 40 minutes per pound. So this recipe is designed for a brisket that's in the 7 to 8 pound range. We're going to make sauce for that so you can kind of see how that all looks out. Now we only have about 4 pounds of meat here, so we're not going to be cooking it for that long, okay? So about 40 minutes per pound, and you want the meat to get up to a 200 degree internal temperature. So we'll be actually testing with a meat thermometer as we get closer on that to make sure we're at that level and we haven't overcooked it and got it all dry. But we want to get it to that nice juicy stage, okay? So let's go ahead and start with the next things we got here. So let's first take a look at our brisket here. Okay, we're going to put this down on here so you can kind of see what I got happening. So the brisket, as you can see now, it's got the nice look to it. It's really ready to go. I've poured off all the excess liquid smoke. We don't need it sitting in that any longer. It's already now enveloped into that meat structure. So now let's talk about the sauce. All right. So the sauce, we're going to have 2 cups of a barbecue sauce. Now, I personally like using stuff like Sweet Baby Ray's or Casey Masterpiece, something that has like a molasses in it. There's something with the molasses and the caramelization that I really, really love on dishes like this. So, but you can go with your flavors. The sweet ones tend to really work with this one for me. That's why I like that. Then we got ketchup. We're going to do 2/3 of a cup of ketchup. So we got 2 cups of the barbecue sauce, 2/3 of the ketchup, 2/3 a cup. Let's get all that good in there. Don't want to leave any of that stuff behind. All right, so let's do that. And then we got brown sugar. We're going to have 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Okay. And then this little mixture here is my Dijon mustard and Worcestershire sauce. Just a tablespoon of each. Tablespoon of Dijon mustard, tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. It's gonna give it a nice little flavor. And then the last thing we have here is we have our celery salt, which we also used on the meat itself. We got about a teaspoon of celery salt that we're just gonna add to the sauce. We don't need a lot. We've already added a bunch to the meat as it was kind of marinating overnight. And then we're just going to stir this up. Just kind of get it all incorporated. Get the chunks from the brown sugar out of there. And then what I'm going to do, once I have this ready to go, I am going to pour this all over the meat. We're going to cover that meat. It's going to bake in this in the oven. That's going to help it keep it nice and juicy, and it's going to give it a nice flavor. Now, we're not going to use all of this. Of course, like I said, this is for the 8 pounds of meat. I would typically probably use maybe 3/4 of it on the meat, and then I would save that other quarter of it for people that like to put a little extra sauce on their meat when they're eating it, so I have it all on the table. So this one I'm going to use a little bit less. I won't need that much. We want to cover that meat. Let it kind of bake in those juices. Look at all that sauce we got all around the sides there. And we're going to cover this back up in the foil, so it's going to have that little foil blanket again. Okay. Wrap this baby back up. Like I said, I obviously punched a hole in this one here. Let's get another piece of foil to put over there to cover that up. So we're just going to take this whole thing out of here. Put it in here. There we go. Now we got our nice little blanket going here. Sometimes you got to do that, replace the foil. It's been sitting in the fridge. We've been doing different things with it. Get the excess stuff off of the pan so it doesn't burn. There we go. Now we're ready to throw it in the oven. Okay, so this is all wrapped up. All right. So now we're just throwing it in the oven. So let me throw this in the oven and I'll come back and we'll do a little talk and then we'll be out of here. Now, since I got 4 pounds there, and we're doing about 40 minutes a pound because it's going to be kind of a slow cook. When you're doing 300, you're not doing a typical baking. You're at a slower level. You're not at the slow and low, like when you're smoking something. It's a little higher than that, so you're kind of in the middle there. But you're doing 40 minutes a pound. We got 4 pounds is 160 minutes, so we're looking at 2 hours and 40 minutes for this to get done. Now, when it gets done, you'll get to see how much that is. And so, it'll probably feed a few people, but that's why I like doing the little bit bigger one, doing the 8-pounder and stuff. You got enough for a nice dinner for a pretty good sized family. So anyway, this again, like I said, this is a tribute to my mom. This was my mom's barbecue brisket recipe that she used to do growing up. When I was a kid, this is what we had, barbecue brisket. This was my first experience with barbecue brisket. Now, as I've grown up and I've traveled, I have actually experienced that low and slow, beautifully smoked barbecue brisket. It's one of my favorite things. This one I still come back to. I still like it. It's still good. It could be a comfort food for me, but I wanted to get this out because it's also, what I liked about it is just really good for folks that don't have trouble doing brisket, on the low and slow and the smoking end of things. So this is a nice option. We used to have it at holiday times. You know, it was one of our go-tos around the holidays. You know, Christmas time, that in between Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and stuff like that. This was always a go-to for us at that point. So, and that's usually when they were on sale, I think, too. So that's probably why my mom did it. But anyway, so this is going to cook for 2 hours and 40 minutes. When it comes out, we're going to check it, make sure the temperature is up to 200 degrees, and then we're going to let it sit for a little bit longer. So we'll come back, we'll finish up the clips on that, and then we'll do a nice little slice, we'll do a little taste, and we'll finish off and see where this goes. All right, have a good one. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, bye-bye. All right, welcome back. We are finishing up cooking on this brisket. All right, so let's take a quick look here. We had it in the oven, 300 degrees. We did 40 minutes per pound. I had about 4 pounds of meat, so we did just a little over 2.5 hours. So 2 hours and 40 minutes. Checked it with a meat thermometer to make sure we got up to the internal temperature of 200 degrees on the meat. So the meat did reach that 200 degrees. So then what we did is then we turned the oven down to just warm, just as low as you can go, just warm. Mine is around 200 degrees. And we're gonna leave the brisket in there for another 45 minutes. Now it's doing that slow cook. So it's gonna start breaking down all of those fibers that makes a brisket tough, you know. So we're gonna leave it in there for another 45 minutes, letting it slow cook. We got it up to the temperature we needed, and we're just gonna let it now get nice and juicy for us. So that's where we're at this point. When it gets done with after that 45 minutes, when that goes off, we're gonna take it out and let it rest, about 30 minutes, just let it cool down and rest, and then you can slice it up and then you got some brisket. So that's where we're at, and we'll be back when we're ready to take it out and slice it up and show you what it looks like. Okay, we'll see you in a little while. Bye-bye. Oh, we're finally back. We are finally done. The brisket's been cooked now. We did the whole process. After we got done cooking it, we turned our oven down to warm and let it sit there for another 45 minutes, let it slow cook at that temperature. The meat was already at the right temperature. Now we've let it rest for about 30 minutes, and now we're gonna do a little slice up and taste. So let's go down and take a look where we're at here. We just brought that out of the oven. Been let it sit. Ooh, it's still warm. It is still a hot one. Look at all that steam coming out. Sauce is good. Let's go ahead and take one of these pieces out here and let's see what we got. Oh, feels tender. Feels good. Look at that, just falling off, just falling apart. Super tender, juicy, great flavors. You get the celery salt in there and the pepper. And you got the sweetness from the barbecue sauce. Now you can put a little more barbecue sauce on there. We got extra. You can make yourself a sandwich. We can make ourselves a salad. We just have the brisket and the salad and whatever you want. But yeah, that's my mom's barbecue brisket recipe. Hope you enjoyed it. Like us on Facebook. Follow us. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out all the streaming services on KP Media TV. We're all over the place on them. Remember my 4 F's: family, friends, fun, and food. 4 things I think accentuate life. We'll see you on down the road. See you at the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.